country. So the identity, the personality of the person who is a president is very key when it comes to driving foreign direct investment. Nobody gonna bring their money to a president they don't know or that doesn't have credibility, a president that doesn't have integrity, a president that doesn't have that household name globally. Nobody. So the personality of the current president of the United States of America is one of the key drivers that is pulling in these investors. Despite the fact that the country is a good destination, they have the population, they have people who also have the capacity to be able to, pay for whatever product you're producing. Unlike, hello, my people. Nice to have you guys again today on Trending Stories. Lately I've been trying to, understudy, the incumbent president of the United States of America, President Donald J. Trump, to understand how he is doing what he's doing. Because you can agree with me that just within 2 weeks of his administration, he has done quite a whole lot of stuff he has promised during his campaign. But despite all he has done so far within 2 weeks, it's as if he has been in the administration for almost 2 years. But it's just 2 weeks because a lot of things are happening. As you are waking up, something new is happening. As you sleep in, another new thing is happening. So the wave is too much. We can see how a lot of things have been tackled. Is doing it simultaneously as he's tackling border security, is tackling the issue of wasteful spending through the Department of Government Efficiency, the DOGE. Everybody knows what is going on when it comes to USAID. So we all see, what's going on across the border, and so on and so forth. So having stepped into the seat of power on the 20th of January, he signed, up to 100 executive orders. And as we speak, he continued to sign more and more and more. And all the, executive orders he's signing, actions have been taking place immediately. Immediately he drops his pen, something is happening already. So you can see, before the moment he won the election, he already appointed, people who is going to work with him. His team was carefully selected, and the citizens are happy. So I've seen, a lot of people talking about, how he's going about doing what he was doing, how the president is doing this or doing that, especially those from the opposition party. But the point remains that the majority of Americans that voted for him are very happy that he's dealing with their key priority issues. That is just the point. So I've had some people outside, the United States, some in Africa and the other part of the world, also airing their opinion as well. But I keep asking myself, is he doing what those who voted for him want him to do for them? And I think the answer is yes. So that's what it is. He has come to serve the people and those who gave him the vote. Those who doesn't even give him the vote, he's also serving everybody. That's what it should be. So I think with the wave that is going on in the United States, so many people are shaking, he's cleaning up the whole system, trying to reset, the country on the path of success. So that's the point. But having said all this, I'm just trying to narrow, what I want to say today on one aspect, which is foreign direct investment. This man has been so exceptional in his strategy on getting into the country foreign direct investment. And in this context, I'm going to use the word FDI. All right. So even before he was sworn in, I watched him, speaking with some investors, and one of the investors who came to see him, I think he's one of the partners now in the, the new AI stuff that is about to, take off in the United States. So he said he's gonna, he was pledging about 100 billion, and then he was on the stage telling him, "Don't you think you're gonna increase that amount to 200 billion?" And the man said, "Okay, okay, Mr. President, I'm gonna see what to do. I'm gonna, work with that, with the 200 billion." But just is it the first week in his administration, the man came in, in a kind of joint venture with other, stakeholders like the Open AI, Oracle, and the SoftBank. Three of these guys came together to, promise the president that they are pledging to invest between 100 to 500 billion in the United States. And the essence is to, develop, critical infrastructure for AI, development. They are here to build what they call the AI, Stargate, and which will chart the course or change the trajectory for the United States, capacity and power when it comes to AI. AI and, the United States and the China, has been in loggerhead when it comes to issue of technology. And I know recently that, the Chinese, investors, developed what they call the DeepSeek. So America is trying to, make sure they compete favorably in the AI, development. So these investors are coming in to put in about 500 billion When I say 500 billion, I mean $500 billion. That's what they are coming into the country to do. Then the Saudi Arabia, the crown prince of Saudi Arabia, has pledged that their country is going to invest up to $600 billion in the United States for the next 4 years of this administration. A few days ago, the Prime Minister of Japan was here in the United States, and he also pledged that his country, through their investors, is going to bring into the United States the sum of $1 trillion. Wow, that's huge. And in 2023, they invested over 700 and it's something billion dollars in the United States. But this year, they are looking at bringing in up to 1 trillion into the United States economy. You know what they're going to do? Job creation. You know what they're going to do? Strengthening the economy, and so on and so forth. So these are the three key investments I have picked out, to look at. And when you look at how this whole thing came to be, Mr. President has not left this country to any other country since his inauguration on January 20, 2023. What does that tell you? Investors are coming to look for him. He's not going to look for investors. Just like you see, especially in Africa, the president jets out with his crew to different countries in the name of looking for investors. I've said it and I've made the point clear that you don't need to look for investors. Investors are supposed to be looking for you. You know why? When there is honey, honey doesn't go to look for bees. Bees comes to look for honey. So the moment there is honey, bees, without invitation, they come in and hang on to the honey. That's how this whole thing works. So now let's look at the critical, components of these issues. Number one, when you're talking about driving your foreign direct investment or winning investors to come to your country, there are specific things that should be in place. So these specific things includes infrastructure. All right. Even the AI stuff that we're talking about in the United States, they are even going to generate more electricity because AI takes huge chunk of electricity. So now, for those of us in Africa, for example, you're trying to woo investor, you don't have power supply. As a nation, you are generating how many megawatts as a nation? Less than 10,000 megawatts. In some cases, 3,500 megawatts, 5,000 megawatts, or 7,000 something megawatts is even less than 10,000 megawatts. Okay? Now, if an investor is coming to your country, which power will he use to produce what he want to produce? It means the investor will generate his own power, and that will add to his cost, the amount of money he will require for that investment. But if there is a power already in the country, it reduces their cost. What they want to invest, they only pay their bills. So that is one of the key issues we have in Africa. No power, no other infrastructure like good roads. For the investor to even transport his raw materials to his site, there's no road. Are we talking about insecurity? Insecurity is everywhere. The moment they hear you coming in, they arrange to kidnap you. So these are the issues. Even your workers cannot even come to work because they may be kidnapped on the road, and so on and so forth. So these are part of the problems that we have. Are we talking about corruption? An investor coming to a country at the point of entry, even from the airport, people are already, asking for this, asking for that, for you to even register the company. They want you to pay bribe, even for you to anything you want to do. They want kickbacks. Are we looking at the judiciary? What is the state of the judiciary? If an investor have issues, with his stakeholders and he file case in court, what is the guarantee that he will have fair hearing? What is the guarantee that the judgment will be fair to every party? What is the guarantee? So these are the key indicators that investors look at. The ease of doing business. What is the ease of doing business in the country? So how do they process even their document to even come into the country? What is the incentive provided by the government? You can see the United States President Donald J. Trump has given an incentive that if you are bringing in $1 billion dollars into the country, the government gonna give you accelerated support and clearance. Some of the regulations, they will facilitate it for you. That is an incentive on its own. Okay, and the power is there, the infrastructure are there. You can see good roads. There's good judiciary. If you have any issue in court, at least you have 80% chance that the judgment from the court will be fair compared to other crimes, particularly in Africa, where nobody cares, where people care about what they get from the government and not how they fix the system. So now, if you draw a crime, from a president back home in Nigeria, you see he has toured to up to 35 countries of the world. How many of them have come in with what? None. How many of the investors have come to invest? But just a man sitting Even when he was sitting in Maralogo before he's swearing in, billions are already coming in. And now he's the substantive, president in the White House. Over 2 trillion, 2.1 trillion is already secured. So what are we talking about? You don't need to be jetting out, wasting taxpayers' money, paying for aviation fuel, hotels, carrying cars up and down, and the whole crew that will follow you in the name of we an investor. Fix the system. Those resources, invest it in the country. Build human capacity. It's very important. Build human capacity. I know that the Dangote refinery, he has to send his crew to India. I think about 1,000 of them, for them to go and learn in India the scale and the capacity required, to run the refinery and maintain it. He has to pay to send his crew over there. And then for him to even establish the company, he has to generate his own power. He's generating the power that he's using to do all those things he's doing over there. He built his roads by himself. He tarred the roads that led to even the refinery. So despite securing a piece of land for about $100 million from the state government in Lagos, he is still providing the infrastructure by himself. So these are the things most investors look at. They decide to channel their resources to a different destination. Are we drawing from the fact that the resort in Lagos, all right, that was demolished? Now the man has left Lagos and moved to Enugu State to manage the Nike Lake Resort. So you can see what happens. Whatever we do as a nation is out there. And investors look at all these things, they watch the video, they follow the news, they follow other social media platforms to see what is going on in their country of choice. And from there, they can be able to make informed decisions of whether to go to the nation or not. So we need to do better as a country in terms of how we treat our even local investors. The resort in Lagos that was demolished, is a local investor, a Nigerian living in UK, came back home, to invest and help to develop the economy and build the nation. What happens? His business was demolished in the name that they are building coastal highway. At the end of the day, they abandoned the same, road and shifted to different direction after demolishing the business. And I know there were so many voices asking the government to review, not to go ahead to demolish the business. The business that pays about 2 billion naira as tax, as revenue to the Lagos State government. A business that employs about 4,000 persons. A business that houses other 80 businesses in it. It just crashed down because of government action and all that. So when investors look at that and say even their own citizen is treated this way, how will we foreigners be treated? That's the reason some of them will not show up. You can come in, they promise you, okay, we'll look at this, but they're not going to show up. Why? Because they are afraid how they'll be treated. They hear about even a member of the House of Assembly was killed the other day after collecting 100 million from him. They still murdered him. I'm glad that the police have found out the 6 people that were involved in that dastardly act. So if a House of Assembly member will be just killed just like that, just imagine what is happening to normal citizens who are not even in position of power. So fix the country, fix the security issues we are having, tackle it squarely. Every day, crude oil have been, stolen from our shores. What has government done? Nothing. Every day, we lose crude, we lose revenue, we lose resources to all these criminals. And government is not handling it the way they should. When they look at the commitment of the government, that's part of what informs their decision. Looking at the direction, the government is going. I don't even know the direction they are going. That is the point. We can't see a clear direction, a clear path that this is where the government is going. And one moral lesson I learned from President Donald J. Trump administration is that any person a nation is putting in as a president should be marketable. The person must be marketable globally, not locally. Because if you are being marketed globally, just like we have today, that the president built Lagos, or that the president is a strategist, or that the president is that's a local champion. You must be marketed internationally. When your name is a brand, that's when you see investors coming. So that's what exactly is happening in America. The president alone, his name alone is a brand. His personality is a brand. That is why everyone wants to associate with him. Now, imagine what happened during the election. Don't forget that the man went through different kinds of hurdles to get to this position. All right? There was assassination attempt about twice. There was lawfare, dragging him in calls from one court to another in New York, in Atlanta, Georgia, and all kinds of lawfare was heaped on him. He jumped all the hurdles. They succeeded to tag him, a convicted felon. Despite that tag, investors are trooping in and rushing in. Why? Because they can see from the other lens that most of those lawfare and court judgment that was tagged on him were election interference, just like the citizens were shouting and clamoring. And that was because this man left power in January 2021. January 20, 2021. All right? Since then, nobody sued him to court. Nobody's charged him for anything. But the moment he declared intention for 2024 election, all the court cases started coming out. Why? Because he declared his intention. If he didn't declare intention to run, I bet you today, nobody gonna charge him for anything. And that is why the citizen said it's election interference. That's why the citizen doesn't take them seriously. Even the global community, because they can see that the moment he won an election, what happened? Most of those cases were squashed, were withdrawn, dismissed. Why? They could have left it if they are sure after his tenure they can be able to continue the prosecution. So, despite all those tags around him, convicted felon and all these things, people want to do business with the country, with him. People want to associate with him. Everybody want to, meet with him. Everybody want to, bring in resources into the country. So the identity, the personality of the person who is a president is very key when it comes to driving foreign direct investment. Nobody gonna bring their money to a president they don't know or that doesn't have credibility, a president that doesn't have integrity, a president that doesn't have that household name globally. Nobody. Just like when you come to Committee of Nations, you talk about the United States of America. The moment somebody said, I'm an American citizen, anywhere in the world, they respect him. Why? The name of that country. So the personality of the current president of the United States of America is one of the key drivers that is pulling in these investors. Despite the fact that the country is a good destination, they have the population, they have people who also have the capacity to be able to, pay for whatever product you are producing. Unlike most countries in Africa, that is bedeviled with huge poverty. Even when you produce, they don't have the capacity to pay for those products because most of the things, over there are subsidized. And now subsidies are gone. So people can't afford those kind of products that you offer. The population is there. So majority of the people lives in abject poverty. So the purchasing power is low. That is another issue here. So, but when you compare to what is going on in the US, people are well paid, in their jobs. There's standard, there's standard rate to pay people per hour. And whatever you do in America, you should be able to afford at least basic necessity of life, irrespective of where you are working. But it's not so in Africa. And that's why many people can afford one or two things and the way things run with their credit card system and so on and so forth. Yes? So when the economy is, built around, improving the lives and welfare of the people, it makes some sense. So when you look at all these things, because I've sat down to be wondering, how come my own president is jetting out every country looking for investors? Another man is sitting in his house, investors are coming to meet him. And I began to take a dive to find out why is it so. I looked at the personality, I looked at issue on surrounding credibility, surrounding integrity, surrounding, business acumen, and all. The man is a successful businessman. Nobody gonna take it away from him. He's been doing great in his own private business. And now he's managing government as a business. And that's why he said, I'm going to establish the Department of Government Efficiency to make the government more efficient, more productive, and more accountable. I recall when during the 2020 election in Nigeria, when P2B was contested, he said moving the country from consumption to production. That is what makes a country. When you produce nothing and you consume everything, there's no way you're going to have a stable economy. So that is exactly what is happening here today. When he weed out all this waste in government and mop the money and redirect them to things that will strengthen the economy. I've interviewed so many people here in the US that in the past, when it was in the first term, what can they say about the economy? And virtually many of them acknowledged, even from different parties, acknowledged that the economy was good enough pending till COVID, came in, and then COVID affected, the whole stuff. But prior to COVID, the economy was doing great. People, has more money to themselves because of the tax cuts and, all those kind of stuff. So I think he's now replicating that stuff in this second tenure, but in an improved way. At that time, he didn't establish the Department of Government Efficiency, but now he's establishing. So there are so many differences, and I believe that If despite having, the minority in the Congress, he was able to even strengthen the economy at that time. I believe that now that he has majority in the Congress, and with new innovations is bringing on board, that the economy of the country is going to do more better than it did in his first 4 years. And don't forget that the waste is too much, and taxpayers are complaining. You can't work and work and work and work. At the end of the day, virtually almost half of what you made goes to taxation, and then it gets frittered away, and that's why people are angry. You can't be doing 2 3 jobs to survive, and what the tax you pay is not even channeled back to support you as a person who is paying the tax, but to give out to people who doesn't even love the nation or care about the country. So when you see the venom, the way they are attacking border security, the way they are, kind of picking out people who are not meant to be in their country to get out of their country, and all those things, you begin to understand why they are doing that. Some people that shout about how the illegals are deported and all those things. And I keep asking, if it's your daughter that was raped and killed, will you say the same thing? So let's not play hypocrisy here. In every place, everybody build their house, put their fence, put their gate, even put a security man with gun to secure the compound, have dogs, have CCTV, has doors, security doors and windows and burglary proof, just to ensure that unauthorized person does not enter into their compound. Why are you doing that? For your security and the security of your family, basically. And now you are telling someone else to leave his house open, not to take care of his house, not to, not just to allow anybody to come into, their country. Are you being fair? You are not. So whatever the president feels is good for the country, and whatever he has promised a citizen that is gonna do, he should go ahead and do it for them. When a country is running an election, before you support somebody, please look at the credentials of that person. Does he fit into the 3 C's, the capacity, the competence, the character? Does he have integrity? What is his credibility? Not just locally, but globally. Can this person stand in the committee of nations and fight for the country? Can this person be able to speak in a forum and people will listen and start coming into the country to invest? So when you look at our nation, Nigeria, when you take off diaspora, remittances, and you take off some of their, few revenues they earn, maybe from the embassies and all those things. What other source are we getting, for FDI? What other source? Apart from crude oil sales, which they are stealing every day. So what other source? What do we export? Do we export what? Apart from crude oil. So these are problems that the government need to sit down and start fixing. Where you get things right, fix your infrastructure, fix power, fix security, address human capacity, because most companies, they want to go to a country where they already have the capacity. They don't want to invest, spending more money to train people, to become professionals, because there's no guarantee they may train you in the next 6 months you leave them. So they want where they can get that capacity. So government should be investing in human capacity, strengthening the education system, making it to be effective and be working for the people. Not that a graduate finish university, he doesn't know what to do. You put him in a job, he doesn't know how to press computer, he doesn't know how to tackle a problem, he doesn't know how to think creatively and strategically. So these are the problems we need to fix. So when we get these whole things done, I bet you the country will begin to see people coming in. Even in the diaspora, there are many Nigerians with the resources, but they can't even go home to invest because they are afraid. They are afraid. So when they bring in their money into the country, look at what happened to Landmark, the resort I was mentioning before. He came in with his money, and look at how he was treated. At the end of the day, investment worth over $200 million gone down the drain. And now another state is calling him. He has gone to Enugu, taking over the Nike resort. He's going to develop that place and make it better. And Lagos has lost out already. So we need to look at our laws, look at our system. You can't just because you want to build a coastal highway, which is not even originally meant to pass through there. The coastal highway has its original route. Why did you change it? Just to destroy the business. And after you destroy the business, you say you are returning back to the old route. So are you really making sense? You are not. So we have seen a lot of things going on in the country, demolitions and or what have you. So some of these properties can be converted to something more useful. All right, as far as they are not built on the sewage, and all that. And even before people, get allocation, some of these things need to be tackled. Look at Abuja, a lot of demolition, taking over people's land with the government might and so on and so on. So investors are watching. You can invest $500 million, for example, and one morning you get notice that the government is taking over the land. They want to build a stadium there, or they want to build quarters for judges, just like that. It happened to Julius Berger. Even if they are owing ground rent or something, this is what we would have strengthened out with them. They pay. for the ground rent they are owing. That's what it should be. But when we treat investment anyhow, that's why companies will be leaving. The economic condition is harsh. It's difficult for businesses to survive because of buying diesel to power your company or your office for a day. It's outrageous. The other day I had one of the churches, the OPM, who was helping, the poor, the widows, and others, shouting that they can no more afford it, that their hospital may probably shut down because the cost of power to generate power in that hospital, the diesel amount they spend daily, is outrageous. So these are the things. And no, government is not looking. Government is not trying to support these indigenous businesses and see how they survive. They don't give out this. You hear on TV that government going to give out how many billion to SMEs. Go and ask how many SMEs access that money. Nobody. Audio. SMEs are dying. They are shrinking. They are exiting because they can't survive the harsh economic conditions. So government supposed to, create an intervention programs that has human face and make sure that these guys get support because they are the people that employs people. The strength of an economy is dependent on the level and condition of the SMEs of that nation. And that is why America is doing great. Here in America, many of the companies here, they don't pay taxes. They give them tax waiver for a couple of years. And that's an incentive for them to come and establish. So they come in, establish their business, maybe 5 to 10 years, they won't pay tax. And as they establish that company, they employ people. A lot of supermarkets, they employ people. And those people they employ now pay taxes. So after the number of years given to them as waiver, when it elapsed, they start paying taxes as well. So another tax comes from them. So can you do this kind of stuff back home? So we need to do a comparative study. Look at some countries who are doing well. And I've said this severally. Argentina, the Argentinian president is doing great. So we can send a team of 3 people to Argentina to interface with him and understudy what he did to revive Argentinian economy and make them to start having, balanced budget and even budget surplus as we speak. How we yank off departments and, agencies of government that are not functional and save that resources. How we exited the employees. Trump is replicating the same thing now in America. The workforce, streamline them so that those who are doing the work can earn better pay. Not that somebody is doing the work is earning 70,000 a month. It doesn't make sense. People should be well paid in relative to the economic situation so that they can be able to afford basic necessity of life. You can't be working and you can't even afford shelter for your family, not to talk of food and the rest of them. So I don't know, but I think we need to come out of our cupboard, look at what other people are doing, draw lessons from them, replicate it the way it suits our environment, and then we can be able to make changes. It's beyond announcing that subsidy is gone. It's beyond removing subsidy. So I don't know the direction the Nigerian economy is going. I don't know the direction the Nigerian government is going. There's nothing that is pointing that this is the direction. That is the honest truth. So we really need to do more better. We really need to do more better. Look at the waves in America today. Everywhere is heating up. The president is shaking everywhere without fear or favor. He's shaking everywhere, trying to bring the country back on track. Because for the past 4 years, honestly, what happened is not what people need to talk about. We will see more. More is coming. This week it will keep us busy because a lot of things will be uncovered. And so now you know why people were pardoned preemptively. We know why. Anyway, I think I'm gonna leave it at this for now, and then I'll have another episode to discuss on some certain issues I've been observing and understanding, because I'm trying to think, why are these people making progress and we are not making progress? So when I look at all these things, I pick out what I can see and then discuss about it. But I think the current president in America is doing great, as far as I know, because if you look at what happened in the past 4 years and what he has done in these 2 weeks, within these 2 weeks, it was marvelous. To be honest, it's showing commitment. It's showing that he truly loves his country. That's what it is. That's what the president is just doing. What he said, promises made, promises kept. That's what it is. Promise good team, he selected good team. Promise closing the border from day one, he did it from day one. He promised taking male out of female sports, he did it. So he talked about school, not teaching children, he did it. Talking about stopping all these puberty blockers, he did it. So just name it. Virtually everything he said in his campaign has been initiated within these 2 weeks. He's in power. So I wonder how the remaining 3 years plus will be. If first 2 weeks is as hot as this, I hope his dreams for his nation, for this country, America, comes to pass. And I hope that the citizens who voted for him should be happy and see the result of what they voted for. So we leave it at there. I know everybody will have diverse, comments and all that. But those who are not in America won't understand what is going on in America. They only read some certain newspapers and watch some certain media TV stations that are already compromised, and they draw their judgment. I understand that. But when you're on ground and what is happening affects you as a person, I think your opinions and decisions will be different. Whatever you have, to say concerning what is going on and these issues I've raised in this video, just feel free to put them on in the comment section, and we'll have time to talk more on that. And then if you are new to my channel, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Just hit the subscribe button to encourage my work and encourage the things I put out there, quality information, and also put on your notification so that once my video comes out, you'll be among the first to be notified. That's very important. All right, so that you catch the glimpse as it's hot. So I'm gonna see you in my next video, and I hope you do have a wonderful day ahead of you. See you. I'm signing out.